Morning and welcome in. It is a great day, simply just because it is. Sun shining, I'm on my second coffee, and it's almost weekend, so hope you guys are feeling as good as I am. And if not, well, I'm sending you good vibes. Hello to Bunny, Aloha, and Seder, and of course, Paint, who was first. It's gonna be a good stream. It's also one of those days, I don't know, nothing fought me this morning. It was easy, which is nice. Did morning chores, no problem. Hair went up into a bun without... I usually have one piece right here, it sticks this way. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. Usually I don't. Wasn't a problem, which always feels nice. And yes, the graphic looks amazing. Thank you so much, Aloha. There's nice little Easter eggs hiding around, and some more obvious than others, but all very cool. All right, let us begin. First things first, we have a new question of the day with lots of chat because I removed the profanity filter that I didn't know I enabled on my Discord. So that's half of this. Just kidding, less than half. Because it says, select the type of language you want to, censor, and it says severe profanity, extreme forms of swearing or cursing. Turns out I have a very different definition of what is severe and what is not severe. Anyway, that's been fixed. Hints. Yeah. Anyway, the actual question of the day, you're welcome to vote in the chat, or you can go to Discord, which is conveniently located under miscellaneous. Aloha's question of the day. A random edition of D&D will be selected for you to play. The world in DM will be brutal and hold nothing back. What class would you build around in order to have the best chance of survival? I said a rogue, because just hide and sneaky sneak, and honestly, other than a druid, it's what I have the most experience in, so I figured that'd be my best chance. I guess I should have said a druid and just said that'd be a bird the whole time. Yeah, that probably was a better answer. Alrighty, and then next is the freebie of the day, which has not been updated quite yet, but it's going to be very, very soon, which means you could technically get a double freebie today if you were quick. This Wall of Thorns is 3D printable and FDM and resin and supports prints with 0 supports. If you want that, hop in the Discord and grab that link. Or just go straight to my Patreon. Alrighty, what is next? Alright, this almost weekend is our thread for the day. If you want to post memes or references or just general chatter, this is the place to put it. Alright, I think that's everything. Oh, the heist odds have been restored to their former glory just for the day. The winning odds are not great, the win chance is still difficult, but it's much better than it's been. And the payout is actually quite high, so enjoy. I've also updated it back to the arcane archives for the day. Part of that is in sending good vibes to John, who was the requester. I'm the originator, no, the requester for the models I started yesterday. Here's the sketches that they did too. This is, oh, well, I can't see it. Meep. There we go. That head, familiar? I actually made the model you guys see here without seeing that because their reference went to spam, funny enough. So yeah, isn't that uncanny? It's pretty much exactly the same. Can't tell if I can give myself credit for making that or if they just had very good description. Seder says, Mia, I don't believe you. Every time you say the odds are decent. You immediately removed it. Anyway, yeah, you get attacked. So that just means the odds aren't skewed against you. The odds are perfectly even today. So that's not my problem. It sounds like a skill issue. All right. Also, the requester, John, has an exam today, and they're really nervous, and I sympathize. So if the Hive Mind could send them some positive vibes and some just good comments in the chat, that would be awesome. Or in Discord, too, because they're going to watch this later. So at this exact moment, they're taking that exam. So everybody, good vibes. Good vibes for them. And then a huge thank you to Aloha for yet another fantastic graphic to intro everything. It now has little flamey ember effects that I originally had too. So it's pretty much peak glory. Also, at the very, very end of yesterday's stream, Aloha donated $10 or 10 euros, so it's 10 or 10 pounds. I can never remember. But anyway, I went ahead and just put us at 10 out of 30 today because they did that at the very end of yesterday's stream. And I joked that if someone donated, I would continue to stream, but I was really tired and so I didn't. So I just rolled it over to today. So we're already a third of the way to a Tavern bed. Huzzah. All right. So next up is making this warm up, and usually I pick something from Pinterest, but this bug guy is a lot of work and really cool. So I decided yesterday that for the warm up today, I'm going to make the hands, just the hands and nothing else. And it's probably gonna take me about half hour just to do that. So I figured that'd be a perfect warm up. All right. Let me grab some references here for these hands. Oh, Ricky probably just updated the freebie already. That was quick. All right, if you try to grab that thing, it's already gone. Sorry, womp womp. It is now. Oh, sweet, it's a Nightwalker today. Definitely intellectually distinct. Anyway, super cool. Go get it. Oh, I love it. Sending good vibes. Care Bear style. Classic. And talking about insect mouths to start us off, which is perfect because that's what's going on here about mandibles. Insect mouth parts consist of 3 sets of appendages. Mandibles are specifically the largest ones and move laterally. Meaning like this way, not this way. Some of the most famous mandibles are those of stag beetles who use them to fight and only occasionally to actually eat. The mandibles of some soldier ants were used by the indigenous peoples of South America as sutures since they were strong enough to hold wounds closed. Get the head off the ant after it's bitten down, its mandibles won't loosen. Gnarly. That's pretty metal. I love that. Hey, Mini Blaze is here. Welcome in. And right away, heist. Beautiful. Odds are better than they've been. Odds are in your favor. Or not in favor. They're perfectly neutral. But the payout's actually quite good for once. All right. This little funny dude over here is what we started with yesterday. But let's go ahead and update our scene to where we currently are. Excellent. And then we'll get this started with this hand sculpt. Yeah, I like that. Is there a slang term for, what is that? Is that pounds or euros? I can never remember. Because like instead of saying dollars, we can just say bucks. Good question. Also, Aloha, the swear word that I will not say on stream that you tested out at my Discord that still got banned. I don't know. I think it's different overseas, but here that word is arguably worse than an F-bomb, which is hysterical. Like, I think culturally it's just different, but pretty cool. Pound is its name, but quid is slang. Oh, I just figured they were different things. Huh. Singular and plural. 50 quid. Didn't know that. We are learning today. Alrighty, I, a long time ago, made a pretty decent hand mesh, and I would like to iterate from that. I just named it a hand. Oh, sweet, it's here. Great, this is just a little block out that I made, and this will be great to insectify as of right now. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, I want a cool insect hand. I have some references here. They're not fantastic, but they're pretty good. So I'm gonna just iterate off of this. Aloha says, Mia, yeah, after I typed it, I realized a different use culturally, and the American one is way worse. I thought it was funny because it was like really spicy coming from you, even though it's unintentional. Aloha mentions, it uses a term of endearment, similar to like son of a bitch kind of vibes. Yeah, not here. Very funny though. And obviously, no harm done. Bunny mentions, in Commonwealth countries, that particular word can be used very casually. It's not as casual here in the UK as is in Australia, but yeah. What does Commonwealth countries mean? Like, I've heard, like, the Commonwealth before, but I don't actually know what it means. Zader says, from what I saw in the chat, it looks like I missed a good one. I'll give you a hint. If you go to question of the day and scroll, my bot still banned them and Aloha screenshot it, which I thought was really funny. Or not ban them, but just remove the message. Well, that's a good chat still. But yeah, it's in question of the day. All right, so for this insectoid hand, I just want 3 fingers. And I want it to already kind of have a built-in pose to it, because I don't imagine I'm going to use these fingers very often, but when I do, I want them to work well. Also, this base mesh is pretty decent and nice and low poly. If any of my students want the hand before I insectify it, I can share this hand for free with y'all in our Discord. Just let me know. All right, so are the claws an extra thing, or are they just the finger tip made pointy? Bunny says the Commonwealth is basically all the countries that used to be part of the British Empire and were slightly less oppressed by the English. Okay, that's about what I thought it was, but if you asked me, I'd be like, European British stuff. Gotcha. All right, I think I'm just gonna make one of these nice and clawed shape, kind of take my time, and then I'll duplicate that for the rest of them. So let's go ahead and delete these. There we go. And then create a nice little segment here. I'm gonna ZBrush in half. Paint says, can you send it to me? Yeah, sure. Is it perfect? No, but it's worth sharing. So if you hold Shift F, you'll see it's all nice and polygroup, which means if you grab Move Topological and click and drag, you can really move stuff around quite easily. To make it even better, I would probably make this even more curved and this base part even lower poly. But yes. Sater says, Mia, I saw something about AI bots in the chat. Oh yeah, there's always things going on. I'm not worried about it though. We're talking about auto mods and then a different thing. One of them was something that I caused. Okay, how big is this file? Can I just click and drag it? I'm gonna go to Resources, NIMSPO. Can I just click and drag this? Or is it too powerful? Okay, that uploaded, and I'm pretty sure it uploaded because Aloha boosted the server. So thank you. All right, at 3D Artist, a free hand mesh I sculpted. Use and enjoy. No royalty issues or anything like that. Yeah, it's just free use. Yeah. A free hand mesh is sculpted, use and enjoy, free use, remix, use, desire, sell, whatever. All right, so here it is. I'm gonna do a little spinny. And again, it's quite stylized still, but that can be nice to break things down. Drag and drop, bam. Bunny says, hey, friendly tip, do not Google insectoid hands. Yep, already made that mistake off stream. Don't you worry. And yeah, thank you, Aloha, because again, I could have just uploaded Google Drive, then grabbed a link, and then whatever, but that's not as sexy. Sater says, you never sculpt this, but I just realized something with exoskeleton fingers isn't likely able to feel anything, or at least not well. Maybe, or no, I think so, because like insects have all like those little hairs on them. Isn't that how they like feel and sense, like vibrations and whatnot? And Sater now has to. F in the chat for Sater. At your own risk. But yeah, I think I'm gonna start sharing more 3D assets with you guys because we were barbecuing yesterday and we're like putting like seasoning on steaks or whatever. And we really like the brand Kinder's, and on it says like John, Master Butcher or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's how he makes like money, is by selling spices. And I'm like, I sell models, which is great, which is like the steak, right? But I also have a bunch of tools I could also be selling and sharing. I'm like, huh, I should start doing that. So I'm gonna start trying to, if you guys see me working on stuff and you're like, I want that, you're in the golden era of early students, so you can just ask and you shall receive. But at some point, I think I'm gonna sell like little packs and stuff to then build more models with. We'll see. Alrighty, continuing. don't know. I don't know. That's it. That's the sentiment. Just looking at how insecty I want these to be. I'm really just following one reference quite closely, but it doesn't spin around or anything. I just have certain random views, and this artist is very talented, so I do my best. The chat is off to a good start today. I love it. Oh, let me jump back over to almost weekend. All right. I don't even have like any specific exciting weekend plans or whatever. I'm just really excited for the weekend. Probably because it's summer. It really hasn't been that hot here yet. Last year was much more buggy and humid, which I thought I'd be happy about. That's not this year, but we don't have any fireflies yet. Last year we had tons already, so I kind of missed that. A little bit of a trade-off. I like dragging these down a bit, a little more exaggerated. Kind of reminds me of like, what's his face? Not Werewolf Man. Oh my god. Like Wolverine. Werewolf Man. Hey, Taka's here. Hello, welcome in. Buddy says, my friend is going to be running the first session of a Warhammer Fantasy roleplay mini campaign tomorrow. Looking forward to not being a forever GM. I'm so happy for you. Very good. Because I know that can be tiring. I hope it goes swimmingly. Oh, also just in other good news. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Physics Girl, but she's been really sick for a long time, and they uploaded a video yesterday for the first time, like of her in pretty much like over 2 years, and she's starting to do better. She's not healthy again, but she's doing better, and it makes me very happy. I was out there just like laying in bed last night watching this video, like crying. But it's good news. Taka says, I'm about to finish my apprenticeship. Lots of things to do. Very cool. Apprenticeship in what? Immediately I think you're like a blacksmith or something. But I realize that could be a lot of different things. I feel like this is looking more insecty, slowly. These pads here are not very insecty, but I feel like on my reference, that's what they did, and it looks great when they did it. I'm like, why doesn't it look good when I do it? Although it says, I'm finishing up my project. This has been so much work, and I noted my creative battery was at 20%, so I know it's time to wrap up. Absolutely. I'm excited to see it. I don't want to keep tinkering, so I'm saving the final push for the wrap up. Good call. Cider says, speaking of laying in bed watching things, I need to bite Reaper when she comes back. Woke up in the middle of the night to Mia More Macchiato playing in my head and couldn't get it to stop. I don't see the problem here. If you guys are not familiar with that song, you should look it up. Or say, I think since you're a mod, you can actually put links in the chat, and then everybody can enjoy this ridiculous song. Speaking of, I'm on my second coffee today. Have I mentioned that yet? These hands are way cooler than what I had before. Pretty happy with it. says, I'll soon be a fully educated educator. Very cool. So like a teacher, right? Like, that's very cool. Mini Boy says, Mia, what do you think about making the middle finger, not the bad one, a bit longer to make it more primary? It might look neat. I think, yes. I think move stuff around. I think make things more interesting. Yeah. That looks more alien. That's cool. Good one, Many Blaze. Sater has shared the anthem of the mods and I in the chat. Watch at your own risk. I'm just kidding. It's super silly, but really catchy. Bunny says, try pinning the fingers backwards at the first knuckle. They look a bit draconic rather than exactile. Probably because of the reference I'm looking at. I like that idea. Let me just try it. So you said backwards at the first knuckle, and I'm assuming like, are we in agreement? Like this is the first knuckle, right? So like, they go more like this. Let me just do it to one finger first. Wow, that did not work. Nope. So instead of doing it this way, which is going to take way longer, why don't I just bend the palm back? Because that's pretty much the same effect. Something kind of like this. I mean, I'm not going for it here. Let me put in what I'm actually looking at, hand-wise. Yoink. Because this is like Insect Man. I do think these hands look way more insectoid than mine do. Like that looks so good. Okay, well these are different, I'm realizing now, than these. Nope, no, they're the same. Just kidding. It's interesting. It's like, it's forms that I'm familiar with, but for some reason I'm having a really hard time implementing them, which is why I'm like, this would be a good warm-up. Okay, I'm not as far off as I thought. Why is this floating on top? Oh my goodness. What? Okay, pet peeve, but cool. I've been trying to like get screenshots like this to, you know, snap them and then be able to like work on ZBrush without ZBrush pulling in front for so long. And I don't know why it's working now, but that's amazing. Yeah, I don't know what this guy is from. He does look familiar and I really like him, but I'm not sure. All right. Resume chatting. I got this. And if I don't, that's fine. I like the color scheme on this a lot too. I wonder how long I can let this like float on top. This is nice that it's working. I wish I could zoom in though. But it's until I click done. But once I do that, it will not float. All right, that's fine. Be gone. ZBrush does like the new pen. This has been nice. Oh, Bunny's gonna do a quick sketch. I'm open to that. Yeah, I definitely have a hard time with insectoids, and they're so similar to constructs. Mayvi says, I think they'll look better as you process them. Keep cooking. Thank you. You're becoming very art fluent, if I do say so myself. All right. gonna keep moving things around. Yeah, Loa did a sketch yesterday. That's kind of what looks like what I have now, more or less, with like the segmentation and stuff. Here, I'm gonna do myself a favor. Scoot this over. There we go. Now we're talking. I'm just making my reference screen larger. Very good. I don't know what way I want to start breaking these apart. Okay, I think I need to start committing to shapes. Fear of commitment, y'all. And start dynameshing things and letting them stay together and sculpting on top of that. I just don't want to. I like having all my blockouts. Bugs are so weird. Sayer says, think of the exoskeleton plates like armor plates. The bigger, higher piece needs to be on top. I get you, and it's like not helpful. And like it's helpful, but like it's not. I have many pieces. Lots of things are on top or not on top. I think it's like this seam right here looks dumb. Anyway, I need some. Like, I just need to do it. Don't worry about it. All right, let's try to get this going. Here we go. The segments of the fingers get narrower towards the middle and bulge at the joints. Yeah, I think this is just too straight. So I kind of like made this like really floaty right here. And then I also added too many. There, I'm gonna remove the spheres entirely, take these sections and then inflate. Okay. Yes. Nope. I know what I want to do. There we go. It's that pesky secondary form that I'm not figuring out, but I'm starting to. There we go. And that's kind of what Mini Blaze said too, making it narrower. And then as far as like what Sater said about plates being on top, that's going to come in for the top of the hand. I was going to say top of the palm, which I guess isn't technically wrong. Sater says, here I was thinking you knew me well enough to know that I'm, of course, going to worry about it. You're right. Hey, Reaper's here. Hello, hello. The trifecta of mods are here. So I was having a hard time with this because I was not able to see the secondary forms. I was just stuck on the primary forms, and it's this little curve. And it's funny because like I see that, but like I wasn't seeing that. You know what I mean? I started to implement that on the arms here, so it makes sense that it'd be the same case for the fingers. Also, whatever I have going on here, these things, absolute nonsense. I think they're making me more confused. Okay. What did Sater say? These need to be on top. All right, point, point, point. Something like that. I don't know why I'm so attached to these. Why is there two of them? What? Go away. So it happens you duplicate subtools, but you don't remember why you duplicate subtools? I don't think I need that anymore. There we go. Okay, we're getting buggy. It's starting to happen. Hello, it says Mia, what D&D edition have you played? 5th. Hey, just singles here. Now that all mods are here, I can start the revolution properly. Though, this is bug related. You're correct. No bees needed. All right, now I'm gonna come to the other side and do the same little arcing shape. It's so subtle and so necessary. You know, it's weird because I feel like with most sculpts I've done, if I have the primary shapes primary hard enough, I can usually get away with it. But like with this bug sculpt here, it seemed like until I added the secondary, I couldn't even like recognize it. it really did look more draconic. It just, which makes sense. I've sculpted a lot more like beefy lizards, which are pretty much almost looking mammalian again. Interesting. Hey, Jesse's here. Do the goop be goopin'. No, it's bug be buggin' today, and boy, am I trying to figure it out. But I've actually made a ton of progress here. I was just kind of like, wait a minute, I don't sculpt a lot of bugs. You know, it kind of reminds me of when I sculpted that, do you guys remember I did that giant peacock mantis shrimp? It kind of reminds me of that. Which aren't shrimp just like bugs of the sea? Or are those crabs? Alright, this is looking really cool and going to suit this character quite nicely. Oh, we've got cats and spider evolution going on. Funny says, so what you're telling us, Mia, is that we need to request more insects from you so you can have more practice. Honestly, yeah. That would be great. Aloha says, Mia, you think it looks great, but what if you add a larger piece around the soft skin of the wrist and lower hand to create a gauntlet-like look? I think that'd be great. And I think it looks great. You think it looks great. Oh Lord, that username. Hello, welcome, you're new. I'm gonna call you Show, because that's the easiest to say. Can't wait until I finish my creature sculpt already. Oh, what you working on? And Bunny confirms, shrimps is bugs. Very good, I thought so. Empress is here. Hello, happy Friday. Alright, I must implement the idea Aloha suggested, but first, lower poly. We love having more artists in the chat. Regardless of skill level, y'all are all welcome here. Okay, what about the side? What the heck do we do with the side here? What does it mean? Also, this needs to be flatter. I keep trying to make it look like a human hand. Okay, anyway, so we have this piece here, and now to make that gauntlet-like effect, what if I just duplicate this? We're gonna increase the size, and then cut the bottom off. I guess technically the top off. Zero mesh by half, and then move this around to have another layering effect. And then I can kind of slide this on to the current model. Kind of like this. Is what you meant, Aloha? I think it looks really cool, but I also can't help feel like I'm doing some, a little artistic mumbling is going on here. That looks almost like, just like a skeleton hand, which is inherently buggy too. See, this is tricky. This is tricky. Or is that what I should be thinking of? Just making like a skeleton hand? Because I've done that before. Empress says, Mia, I did something cursed my assignment. I hope you don't have tryptophoria. I do. Fun fact. That's okay. I'll look at it. I'm fine. But I do. I'm totally not joking. Manyboy says, Mia, what about lowering the outside part instead of having it raise on the side and bring it down? I don't think what you said was that complicated, but for some reason I'm just like, what? What about lowering the outside part instead of having it raised on the side? This outside part? Lower? Like that? Well, regardless, I think that little adjustment looks better. So if that's not what you meant, it was still a happy accident. It still led to an improvement. Show says, I'm doing my sublimation by tooth woo concept. Is there ways I can send screenshots? Heck yeah, join our Discord. You can put it under share your art, which is right here. Or we kind of like, I have a new project reference, like a forum we all hang out in for every live stream, which is just, it's almost weekend. But you're welcome to put it here or in share your art, either way. Mayboy says, oh no, Mia, the center at the top, bring it down. Happy accident. These? Either way, I think that looks better again. Insider says, yes, segmented, except the segments overlap, not bump into one another. I get you. I get what you're saying. I had to sit on it for a second. Yeah, yours kind of like settle into each other nicely, and mine just bump. That was like a really funny gentle roast. Yeah, so I have to make it look like they fit together. No bumping, just fitting. All right, we're almost done with the warm. Oh, we actually reset. We went through the warm up. So I'm gonna probably call these hands good enough, and we'll move on to some main, like the main character again. But I'm pretty happy with the progress we made here. I don't know why anyone would want the insect version of the hand, but I shared with you guys. Oh, speaking of show, I don't know why you'd need it, but I shared a stylized hand today. That's under blink blink resource and inspo. So we took this hand and then made this in about, I don't know, the warm up 20 minutes here. But if you guys, if any of my students also want this hand, just let me know. I have no problem sharing that. And same rules when it comes to assets. Remix, use in your own works as needed. No rights issues there. All right. I'm gonna run a quick clay polish over this. There we go. Simplify this form for me. Thank you. All right, and we will call this good for right now and throw that on the original sculpt because either way, it's a huge improvement from what I had. Very good. Merge down. Sweet. We're gonna keep this in its own tool, and let's review what we had. So these are the hands that we are replacing. Do you see why we're replacing them? They're not great. Ugh, although it says now the same thing for the feeties. You're so right. Okay, let's officially move into a Tavern Keeper's craft. This is the main meat and potatoes of the stream where I work on a model, and these are all Patreon requests. So people that play, usually like D&D, Pathfinder, all that goodness, they come to me and they're like, hey, I want this model made, and then I make it. And I just keep doing that. I've done that almost 1,000 times now, and I share that entire library with anyone who supports me on Patreon. So it's a huge win-win of creativity. So this is the big bad evil guy for John's campaign. But who knows, for you, maybe it's a friendly merchant. It can be whatever you want. Pretty fun. Bunny says, BRB, gotta go shape my sourdough. I love that. And Jesse asked, was the banana smoothie spectacular? It was, to the point where I'm going to have another one today. Is there a Discord link? Can't find it in the description. Wow, mods be lacking. There we go, my mod jumped on it immediately. You now have an invite. Infra says, that looks like a hand for use. I don't know. Yeah, they're not very bug hands though. And Show says, thank you. And we're excited to see what you're working on. All right. Bringing in the new hands. And let's see how we did. Thumbs always point toward the inside of the body. That looks much, much better. All right, I have them so like bent out, and I don't love that I did that. Let's go ahead. Crab man. Oh, cool. So we can kind of use this as a reference for the joints here. Specifically, like the picture. I love how Discord was like, it's going to be this big. I'm like, you don't want to make that more visible? Look at this pathetic zoom in. Discord. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, I can review that when I refine the hands and just actually throughout the whole model and how those sections interact. Taylor says, Mia, maybe instead of blaming the mods, maybe add the link in the description. Nobody ever looks to the description. That is the first time I've ever had somebody look to the description. Also, I don't really want the link just always living in the description. That's a really good way to get lots of bots to join your server all of the time. Empress says, I can't wait for the assignment when Mia goes, now you must sculpt a hand from scratch. It's true. I have one of those for hands and for heads. Beware. Hello, says Mia. Why no silhouette thumbnail box when you sculpt? because I just naturally see in silhouette. Joking, not joking. I like to just click V on my keyboard to just toggle it to black. I just use that instead. I don't know why, but I feel like the little thumbnail up here is so like cluttered. It's the same way as like I don't use PureRef, but I should. PureRef is super cool. I've used it before, and I just don't like it. I just don't like using it. The navigation drives me crazy. All right, we're gonna add some poly paint here. Oh, that looks so much better than what we had before. Excellent. I'm gonna hide these little tendrils for a moment. And then we're gonna adjust the poly paint here just a touch. I'm gonna change my paintbrush from dots to drag rectangle and polygroups mask by 100. That's gonna allow me to just click and drag. Why aren't you working? Okay, this happens every now and then. Do you see how this box here just disappeared? I don't know why it does that sometimes. Don't worry about it. You can always go to click B for your brush menu and reset all brushes, and that will usually fix it. There we go. Lighten, lighten, lighten. There, got some contrast going on. So one of them has to win, be on top. So top shell and then bottom. And then a tendon-like fleshy bit underneath. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. The knowledge is clicking. Ooh, show your art. Is this show? Heck yeah, it is. All right. Everyone give a bit. I had a feeling show. I'm like, you're probably excellent, aren't you? Dear God. That's so awesome. You get confetti. Wow. Are you joking? I love this. I love everything about this. All the spindly, you don't design for 3D printing, I can tell. You have full freedom. All these little spindly bits are just delicious and awesome. I think my favorite part about this, though, is the layering you have on the skirt, honestly. Ah, this is so cool. I love this. I absolutely love this. I could stare at this all day. I like that each of these arms are different too. Like you didn't just, I would just copy the same one probably, but I like that each of them are modified just a touch. Awesome. Keep cooking. Just a work in progress of sculpt I'm doing right now. Start adding details from the bottom up, but I think that's gonna sculpt only for renders. It's pretty awesome. Please keep us updated. Amazing. Awesome, yeah. Seder immediately awarded point. Empress says, holy, I'm going to quit now. No, be inspired. Ask them questions. See if they'll I don't know. Ask them how long they've been doing it, because I doubt it's as long as you've been doing it. Empress, you started 20 days ago. Give yourself a break. Amazing. You've been aggressively welcomed, show. All of the peasants have immediately attached to you. They'll be disappointed if you don't come back. We're aggressively friendly around here. Also, I have a mentorship program, so I have a lot of very early new artists. So by you sharing that, again, just inspiration for me, inspiration for them, that kind of stuff. Your understanding of secondary forms and tertiary makes me jealous. I was talking about this yesterday. I mentioned you see certain artists, you look at their work and you're like, disgusting, because it's so awesome. Yeah, that's about the reaction I had. I like it. How do I want to adjust this little gauntless piece? That's good. All right, let's keep on cooking. What I want to work on next here, I think his hips. There's a segment here that I think that is missing. Or it might be time to start from the top down and getting our next level of details on this. I think my primary forms are fine, but I haven't pushed anything yet all the way. When I'm working on characters like this, I like to get the whole thing blocked out like this, right? But then I'll kind of pick one piece that I have a clearer vision for, get that all detailed out, and then apply that to the rest of the model. Kind of almost establishing a color palette, but instead of it's a shape hierarchy palette, and then applying that. Aloha says, Mia just mentally spit at your work for daring to be so good. It's a lovely thing. It is. And then Sater says, but yes, the important bit to remember is everything is reversed, but still at work fundamentally. The skeleton is still being driven by the muscles contracting around the tendon to move motion, which makes sense because like this would be the little tendon bit here, like for like the crab arm, you know, and this would be a shell that stick out on top, and then this would be underneath. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Let's go ahead and show everything. Get this stuck up here. Pretty nice. And I'm going to move these around just a little bit so they're not quite so stiff. Very good. And Show says, Empress, I think that I'm doing this for about 2 months, 4 hours a day, but I have a task for myself to do one-to-one concept. I'll send Discord too. You're going to devastate my student. You're obviously an artist outside of 3D modeling as well. Sater says, fun fact, if you're allergic to lobster, shrimp, or crab, you're allergic to roaches. I don't love that. All right, let's get some detailing up here. I think I'm going to start with this abdominal and chest section. And then Sater, yes, that's about 2 months of ZBrush, or in general. All right, John's finished their exam. Got to wait for the results. I hope it went well. Yeah, no, they have not been an artist for 2 months. They've been for much, much longer than that. That's why I'm like, you're going to like annihilate my student, Emperor. She's going to be like, oh, I give up. I'm like, no, no, no. Again, art translates to a lot of mediums, just picking up those new tools and stuff. Good, I'm glad you think you did okay. Sometimes it's the best you can hope for, you know? Alrighty. I don't have a lot of practice in these specific forms, so I'm excited to do so. There was a reference that Aloha sent that I think I pinned. If not, I'm going to go find it again. Where do I see my pinned messages? Here we go. There we go. This one specifically. I'm going to throw that up on my other one. Justin Will says, I don't like that roach fact either. Yeah, everybody boos your fact. Terrible fact, Sater. All right, scoot this on over. There we go. So I was like, I've been doing 3D for 6 years, I guess. 3 or 6 years of sculpting. Very nice. You've undevastated my student, Empress. Alrighty. Alright, got this new reference up. Let's get cooking. And also, while we're even on that topic, I think that's really common too, to see someone working and then you ask like, how long have you been doing that, right? And then immediately you're really asking because you're kind of like comparing it to your own progress. You just can't. There's too many variables. So instead, maybe just ask like, I don't know, like better questions like what's their favorite thing to sculpt? How did they get there? What inspires them? Some tips of workflow, that kind of thing. Just Single says, I'm still waiting for my final grades. For 2 weeks later, my professor is the worst. I'm so sorry. I had, when I was going through school, most of my engineering professors wouldn't upload it until like the day before the deadline. So that was like the end of summer. It was the worst. Is what it is. All right, I want to get these cool side plates going. Emperor says, if I follow that timeline, I will be dust. 35. I really like this reference that Aloha included because it pretty much makes like the interior serratus muscles like their own plates. It's very, very cool. Very satisfying to look at too. let's maybe do the shoulder things first, because that's a shape I'm more familiar with. I'll be dust. Empress, what does that, you know, a lot of people in the chat, Seder, are older than you. What does that say about them? Yeah, Seder. Children, the lot of you. All right, I'm gonna use my damn sander brush here to bring up a sharper edge. They're held together by spite. I don't know if Seder would disagree to that, quite frankly. So this is kind of interesting because if I was doing armor, I would model it, but in this case, it's like hard surface, but like a chitin. How do you say that? CHITIN, chitin plate. You know, I'm not really sure. It's kind of like this combination of organic sculpting and hard surface. Jesse, who are you calling old? And yeah, I knew Sarah would say, like, I know you're not wrong, but still. Seder says chitin, Bunny chitin. Not chitin. If not ch sound, why ch? Chitin. Okay. Seder says they're all like 12. Not true. Almost 30. Empress is now recently 30. Crumbling to dust. Oh yeah, chasm. You're right. I love that. This is really a really nice and just valuable sentiment shared from Show. What I like about 3D is a constant learning. No matter how much experience you have, 1, 5, 20, you will always find something to learn. That's why I work here. Beautiful. Paint says me as 22. Taylor says, I've only had fake lobster. And maybe like that, what starts with an S? I can't remember what it's called. But I've tried either real crab or lobster once. I try the fresh stuff. I can't really afford it. Also, like, if you're not on the coast, it's especially expensive. Empress says, anyone play Claire Obscura yet? I have not, but I'm going to. Jesse says, I'm going to be 43 soon. Whoa, I am old. Nah, you're still not our oldest that hangs out around here. I think that's still non-sleeper. All right, I'm gonna... All right, I don't like working on this in symmetry, so I'm gonna just grab one. And I'm gonna fixate on this and make a cool little thing here, all right? I'm gonna come in with my clay brush and start building up some forms here on the edge. It's kind of like the lumpiness of these shells that give them so much interest and charm. So I'm gonna try to make that shape. Use that and probably a lot of clay polish. Maybe even more, like a higher resolution. Again, this is just not the way I normally sculpt things. This is fun. Matt's back. Welcome back, Matt. More bugs. Yes, indeed. Jesse says, my buddy said that Clair Obscura is the best game he's ever played. High praise. I'm really excited to play it. And it's on Game Pass too, which I already have, which feels good. Sater says, to Reaper, honestly, real lobster isn't worth it. I love lobster. Crab is decent if you buy it and cook it yourself, but those are both pain in the ass to eat. I'm happy with shrimp. Affordable, healthy, delicious. Why not all three? I get what you mean. Shrimp is cheap relatively to the rest of them. You can get like a pound for $9. Hey, John's here. Mr. Banana Sham. This is wrong. Maine lobster is the best crustacean meat out there, right? But yes, everyone say hi to John. This is who, or Mr. Banana Sham. Love that. Gotta say it fast. Only way to say it. Anyway, that's who we're all wishing well on their exam. I hope it went great. Zader says, Mia, because some of us don't make $12,000 a month streaming. Are they in the room with us? I wish. Ugh, that'd be crazy. I'd have a house by now. Matt says, I go to Boston every year. That's the only time I eat lobster. Gotta have that lobster roll. Oh, that sounds so good. All right, I'm getting distracted. It's got like this roughness on the edge, but everything still looks very intentional. Blasphemy. Why is it doing that? Interesting. All right. It is looking like something, which is better than not looking like something. Sato says, Mia, who says talking about you? Narcissistic much? No, exactly. I didn't know what you're talking about. I would love to at some point. King crab is the best. It's all pretty good. Empress is the only person in the family who's allergic. Rip. Oh no, you had a funny little thing above it. Oh, I see. The heist payout is finally quite good today. So good luck. It's not quite the golden era of pulling, but it's a small nod to what used to be. This has been quite the little exploration of textures. I keep trying just different things over and over again. I'm gonna like pretty much whatever I figure out how to texture this, I'm gonna be applying for the entire model. Sater says, my son is the only one family that's allergic to crustaceans as well. Not shellfish, just crustaceans. Sad. Sounds a little shellfish to me. Love me a terrible pun. Alright. We're going back to my normal sculpting approach because I tried doing this thing like, oh, I'm working on it like when it's high poly, and I'm like, no, I didn't like it. So we're going to see how far we can push these forms, low poly, like usual. Sometimes there are different ways to approach it, but I'm just like, it's not working. Why won't you look cool with minimal effort? All right. We're getting serious on this little shoulder pad. All right, first things first, primary form. Primary form is just a flat disc right now, not super interesting. So let's get a little bit more of that shape in. It's gonna look a little more like this. Next, apply that onto these edges here. Kind of rough them up a little bit. Kind of reminds me of a conch shell almost. I'm a little concerned how rounded that looks right there, but I think that will kind of flatten out as I continue to sculpt. All right, next I'm gonna try to come in with some planer brushes to flatten this out. I'm gonna go with H polish, and if I need to, I'll go grab my orb flatten edge. Mr. Banana Sham says, I trust the process. Yeah, I need to remind myself, I need to trust some of the process here. I've seen it done so many times, but again, there's so much about this model that is new to the kind of stuff that I sculpt, which is awesome. But as a result, I'm like, what am I doing? It's like, no, I've done this many times. Just keep going. Muscles can be pretty good, but I feel like I always have like those little, if something's gonna have sand in it and be crunchy, it's muscles. All right, looking a little bit more interesting. I'm gonna put it on the other side. And then let's add a couple modeling techniques here. So when I subdivide, it just smooths the whole thing, and I don't want that. So instead, I'm going to use my Z modeler brush and crease this edge here to hopefully do a little bit of work. Wow, it creased the entire thing. That's hysterical. That's so not what I wanted at all. How about crease just the one poly loop? That'd be nice. What? How is it all think it's connected? I've never seen this before. Why? That's okay. I got many tricks. We'll zero mesh by same, and now we'll do it again. All right, that's a little better. You're not all the same poly loop. This is hysterical and just not true. Fine, then we won't do that. We're going to subdivide a bunch of times and then come through with my damp sander brush and add an edge on manually sculpting. So I'm gonna use damp standard, holding down Option with lazy mouse enabled, and just kind of ZBrush crashed. Wow, do you guys see this whole software meltdown happening right now on stream? Beautiful. All right, ZBrush hates the bug man. That's fine. We're gonna love the bug man. Do you sculpt other things like environments, walls, trees, vehicles, and stuff? You betcha. I sculpt a lot. So if you want to be able to really quickly see everything that I've sculpted in one place, I have everything listed on my mini factory. I have, let's see, 995 things for sale. Which, Mr. Banana Chef, I'm so sorry. I did this. You were just fine. But yes, this is my stuffs. If you scroll down through here, not this, go to my store. My mini factory store. Here you go. Just right here, you can see there's gonna be a huge variety of stuff that I've done. A lot of characters and monsters, but I probably have around 300 terrain pieces. This is one's particularly popular, which is my demonic war machine. This 3D printed beautifully too. But yeah, had a good time. Taylor says, tuned in on the software meltdown. Beautiful. I blame you then. Bunny says, Mia, I hate to tell you, but I think your software has a bug in it. We are pun happy today, aren't we? ZBrush said, we are the same poly group. Yeah, I've got the entire thing is like I am one poly loop. And I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Oh, look, here's finally our error message. ZBrush quit unexpectedly. Yeah, I know. I was here for it. And Fred says, all right, I must go to my appointment. Happy to be back. Happy to be back before the end. If not, happy sculpting. Thank you, Empress. Don't bug us. Oh my god. The next person that does a pun is going to be punished. Oh no, that was a pun. Does that mean it's me then? And we're back. All right. I am making progress. It might look like a lot of fiddling, but I am really just finding new ways to create these textures and trying to really find like a faster, more reliable, consistent way to create these textures. I've been punished by my own mod. Thank you. You guys both removed points. Hey, careful, careful. Satyr and Aloha, same brain. Amazing. Yep, same brain, same brain, same brain. Yeah. ZBrush be bugging. No. Alright, we're doing things. I'm gonna use the layer brush to try to add some more like tertiary forms here. I think even using some VDMs to really pull off some shapes is gonna benefit me. Something kind of like that, and then we get like that chitin texture. Many Blaze has a suggestion. I do appreciate it, but no suggestions. I am an adventurer, explorer. I need to figure this out myself. Because I have sculpted this type of thing before. I just, not very often, and I want it to be better than what I've done before. So I'm trying to push that. And that's why it's a little slow. Why are you guys taking all of my points? Unbelievable. I will handle you guys later. Anyway, so sorry. No, don't worry about it. I just didn't want you to think I was ignoring you. I'm really glad I started warm up with those hands because I like how the hands turned out immensely. All right. Mr. Banana Shams, I appreciate that. Also, you work fast by my standard. Oh God, now this is excruciatingly slow as of right now. I appreciate that. Yesterday was quick. I am just really hell bent on trying out some new things right now, and I am making some interesting progress. It's all going to come together. I like that texture a lot, and I'm hoping I can use that. See, I don't like how thick this is, though. Should I be doing this as the same way I approach fabric? And then I can extrude thickness after the fact. 'Cause that's kind of the issue I'm running into right now, is trying to get this edge to look a certain way. Oh, that'd be interesting. I didn't think about doing that. Cooking, I'm thinking. All right, let's go all the way back here. Because I can like just subdivide a few times and kind of like add some rough texture, kind of like layer it up really messy and then be like, oh, look, plate. But that's not, I've done that, you know? Yeah, the mods have gone mad with power. Let me check something. Thinking. think it's because I'm fighting it on the fact that it's like a thin, hard shell, and it's inherently not. It is 3D printable, but I usually avoid stuff like that. So because I'm kind of rounding things off the way I normally do, I'm losing the essence of what that is, and that's why I'm coming against that. So instead, I'm going to pivot from not worrying about the 3D printing aspect for right now, and just zero in on what I'm seeing in the sculpting mat. Let's try that. Is the boss bug getting boss bug weapons? I don't believe so. The tendrils that he has coming out of his back, we kind of can unravel that carapace. That is the weapon of choice here, I believe. Oh yeah, and he's psychic. I forgot. Hence why his eyes glow purple. Yes. Good question though. We've come full circle. We're back to the clay brush. This hard surface organic is so cool, and I think if I can get comfortable with this texture. Do you guys remember when I worked on Foxy's Warforged Samurai? And that's like where I really learned how to upgrade like my use of the Z modeler brush and get like that layering effect. This is kind of the same thing, where this is a texture that I've been wanting to figure out how to do for a long time, but I haven't quite figured out. And the same way when I turned 7 years old and I'm like, oh shit, I still can't read. I did not just learn how to read. I have to go figure that out. It's the same kind of thing. I'm like, this is obviously not happening on its own. So I need to do the thing. So that's what we're doing right now. Mini Blaze says, I like that texture. Yeah, it's happening. I also think color spray is going to be a nice tool to add some interesting variation here. I just can't get too saturated. Sometimes it gets a little too color happy. So he keeps pulling in like greens, and I don't know if I want that. That's fine. Mr. Banana Sham says, that looks so cool. Thank you guys. Sometimes I get so used to just like creating characters like quickly that I get it's natural to feel frustrated when you're trying to figure something out, but I'm like, that's part of the fun, you know? And I need to remind myself that. And this guy is too cool to not have fun with, let's be real. All right, now that I have a texture that I think is the beginning of figuring something out, I'm gonna start playing with that shape and seeing how it layers, and kind of like a trial run of sorts. I also still haven't figured out how to add volume without breaking these curves. See, like that looks like a petal now, as opposed to like a gentle increase in volumes. There's a way to do this. And I don't know what it is yet. But I'm gonna figure it out, and it's gonna be really cool. I wonder if this is where I should be using more masking techniques. Also, it's really critical that I'm able to create textures in a replicatable way because I teach, and I like for anything that I learn, I want to be able to explain. There we go. See like how that looks better? Okay. It's gonna be masking. Interesting, interesting. The way that this model is like my own final boss in some ways, where it's like you're gonna have to use every technique you've learned for organics and for hard surface right now. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, Aloha says it's basically making a ton of thin rocks across the body, weird balance going too soft and too hard surface. Yeah, exactly. You get it. All right, we got some layered shoulder pad thingies, and I'm actually really happy with it. Also, interestingly, these ended up a bit more petal shaped than I was expecting, which means they might work quite well for the head too. Even though I usually can just duplicate the subtools and repurpose them, because I don't have a lot of practice at this texture, I want to keep creating that texture by hand. All right. Let's work on the chest a bit here. I'm going to subdivide first and then come in with damn standard because we're cooking. It's starting to happen. I actually need to use the standard brush here because having that volume has been important. When I use damp standard with that edge, it's actually making it too hard surfacey, and that's kind of where I'm running into problems. Rounded edges. Rounded. Okay, I'm figuring it out. That's the answer. Okay. Another thing that I really like about this is trying to figure out, like, because it's hard surface but it's organic, there's like a flow, like the same way you'd have like striations and like muscles, which is really cool for me. Really fun to work with. Bad Seder. So I think the magic answer here is it's just a standard brush. Okay, that's fine. I was looking for all these complicated ways to do this, and it's like, nope. The answer has been in you all along. That's the texture I wanted. But it is interesting because by creating the secondary forms, I'm already like high poly, which is weird and different to how I do other things. But it also might be a skill level issue for now. It's possible that as I get more comfortable creating these textures, I'll be able to achieve more lower poly. But for now, high poly. So for this, I kind of have the idea of almost like these layered gills, essentially, as it fits under that carapace. I also think it'd be interesting if I was able to use the interpolate brush, which I talked about before, but I've never shown you guys. It's under stroke. I don't use it often, but since we're doing new things today, let's keep doing new things. I know it's under here somewhere. Where are you? There it is. Interpolate. It's right at the top. All right, so let me find a pattern here that I like. Like if you do a stroke here, and then ask it to interpolate, go to stroke right here. It'll do it for you. Aloha, did you see that? It's very, very important that Aloha saw this. And all my students, but specifically Aloha, because they're kind of in that weird, like intermediate advanced level of growth, which to be fair, so am I. So I did 1 stroke, 2 stroke, and then I went to stroke, interpolate, bam. And you can adjust how many happen in between that and whatnot as well. Aloha says, what? I missed it. It's okay, I just said it again. Did you get it the second time? 100 is the max. I turn on the max bet specifically to prevent problem children like you. A low goes, ooh. Yeah, I knew you'd like that. Good. I wasn't sure if that'd be new information for you or not, but on the chance that it was, I was like, you must see this. All right, stroke. And that kind of checks out, doesn't it? Because again, we are hard surface, but organic. So it's going to be a mixture of modeling techniques and sculpting. Where is the interpolate button? The interpolate button is under the stroke menu, right here at the top. It says interpolate. And right next to it, you can adjust how many strokes will be repeated between it. So 10 is a bit much for me here. So let's bring it down to 5. Interpolate. There you go. And then 5 wasn't enough. So we're going to do it again, but higher. How about 8? There we go. Pretty cool. And now I can come through and actually add a little bit more intention here. Perhaps a little damp standard. Nope. Damp standard is not the answer with this sculpt. The answer is just standard over and over again. Blasphemy. Kind of adding up some randomness, some different textures. And then for the back of the neck, good. A lot of it's going to be hidden by this carapace. I think there's going to be another shell that I add here. Yes. We'll go to append. Come on. A cube. Let's go ahead and flatten that cube and create a new carapace-like structure right on the back of the neck. We're going to flatten it with the 3D gizmo. Click on Dynamesh. Click and stretch. And Lois says, similar to how you added the gauntlet piece on the wrist leading to the hand, can we have some hard surface at the base of the tentacles? Yeah, I agree. That'd be very cool. It'll be a hot minute until we get to that point, because I'm going to really just focus on the body here for quite some time. But don't let me forget about that, because that is very cool. See, I was able to create that plate so much faster. All right, it's coming together. I'm figuring it out. All right, since this is on top, it has to be all the way on top or something like that. Try to think of what Seder was talking about too. Just has to look intentional and fit together, which currently there's no fitting happening. Okay. How do I make it fit together? Well, I can make this lower and wider and then shorten up this neck carapace thing that I did and then create this joint area. That is looking better, especially if I thin it, just like how I did the fingers. Ooh, I like how Geiger, I like the Geiger-like textures going on. Yes, because I understand that more. So I'm trying to do like a fusion of effects here where it's still, you know, gets the right effect, but maybe with a different answer. Cool. Oh, cool. It's happening. Oh my goodness. I didn't look at this for a second. Now I've looked at it again. Oh, I'm really excited that yes, I'm figuring it out. Okay, cool, cool, cool. She said calmly. Oh, someone new is here. Anna Palm Signal. Do you teach? I do. My mom's helped you out right there. All right. I'm so glad this is coming together because, again, I'm just obsessed with what I see in my head is going to be so cool. But again, I don't know about practice making these specific textures, but I want to be good at them, so. Yeah, Geiger has some great unnerving tones for horror. Absolutely. And when I read your request, I think I wrote it down as bio-horror bug. That's what my shorthand was for it. So that's what I wanted to bring into it. And then Anupam says anatomy, I mean. Oh yes, all that's included. Absolutely. And also, anatomy is just a huge topic, right? That's like saying, can I learn math or can you learn calculus? It's just a topic. But in order to, by learning anatomy, I mean, it's the same kind of process of building up where it's like primary, secondary, tertiary forms. So yes. Jesse says, hey, I'm the new guy around here. I know Mr. Banana Sham technically is now the new one in the chat. And then the newest Yeah. Not anymore. Just like that, you're a regular peasant. And then what's interesting is this like chitin-like texture. It has like these little, Bunny, I don't know if you're lurking anymore, but am I wrong in noticing these like little like dot-like textures on like chitin? Like what is that? Is it like barnacles? Is it buildup? Is it a thing? There's a reason for this? But I feel like there's like these little bump-like textures I see on shells. It might just be growths. I'm not sure. All right, I don't want to get too crazy with the bio-horror here, but it's looking kind of like a sternum bone, which is also really cool. And again, it is supposed to be like humanoid, so I like having some human-like anatomy poking out, or like references almost. Bunny says, I'll have to get back to you on that. Mini Blaze says, it could be new shell growth. That sounds right. And then Bunny, you don't have to be like the like animal lore person, but you've been so knowledgeable, so now I can't help but be like, hey, you probably know what that means. Mini Blaze, inquiring minds want to know. I love how I'm like, oh, it doesn't have to be your responsibility, and Mini Blaze is like, get on it. Bunny says, that chair in the middle left is a Harkonnen command chair, something Geiger made for Alejandro Jodorowsky's failed attempt at a Dune film. My favorite H.R. Geiger work is the cover art for Emerson, Lake and Palmer's LP, Brain Salad Surgery. These are all awesome. Alawa says, had to lock in on watching for the past few minutes because Mia is doing tertiary forms level up stuffs. It is happening, isn't it? I think I'm doing the level up right now, guys, and it was very painful because I was looking at these little shoulder shells and going crazy, but it all came together. It did. It did. It is happening. And it's just the stupid standard brush. It cracks me up because it's a brush I use all the time, and I kept trying to find different ways of approaching this and figuring out this texture, and I'm like, the answer has been here all along. Also, this is the kind of texture I wanted to get onto Knucklevi. Why can't I say that? I want to put the word knuckle in it. Anyway, the monster horse flayed skin man. This is the texture I wish I had found to incorporate on there. Now that I know how to do it, I already want to resculpt that monster, but no, we are moving on. Okay, looks good. On to the next piece. Now it's gonna be really important that as I move down the body here, that I have a more clear abdominal muscles. So if I just take this and subdivide and I start just adding more of this texture and scribbling and striations and whatnot, it's like, yeah, it looks cool, but it could be better and stronger. There still needs to be plates that are visible. And if I go too far, it looks more like a tree. So, yeah. And Seder says, Mia, humor me. Okay, shall humor. Scale the shoulder pads or shoulder plates up a bit and widen them. Like thicken by 15% and elongate them by 25 if you're so inclined. I'm feeling generous, so we'll see. All right. All of them or just one? You said shoulder pads, so I'm going to do all of them. Let's merge them down. Serrata's texture. Yes, absolutely. All right. Scale them up a little bit. Scale up a little bit. Thicken by about 15%. Thicken. Wider. You have been humored. It is permitted. That was an improvement. Can we give him a shell 8-pack? I'm planning on it. All right, to have that like serratus interlacing texture thing going on, we're gonna need to make a new subtool, or that's for me, the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to duplicate this piece first. I'm going to inflate it. And now I'm going to use my damn standard brush. Actually, no, standard. Standard is the answer. And I'm going to carve out the shape. I'm also going to poly paint it so it stands out a little more easily. Nope, not that zoomed in. All right, we're carving out the shape. Move brush. This section, keep that lower poly. This as well, keep this lower poly, and Dynamesh. All right, I have these two pieces here because it's gonna be a little easier for me to make this like interlacing like effect. All right, there we go. Some bugs look like trees. Don't even start with me right now, Matt. You're so right. And if I overlap those puzzle pieces in my head, I'm never gonna be able to keep them separate. Stick bug. Yeah. Okay. All right, I actually created this section, so now we have, this is separate from the abdominals, but technically the anterior serratus muscles we're referring to, which are on people, not bugs, might need yet another subtool. I always say, when in doubt, more subtools. Okay. Okay. Reduplicating again. And that's going to be another new color. Humor me here. Gosh, the layers be layering and they just keep going. Okay. Ooh, Bunny said, so I think some of the texturing on beetle carapaces specifically is probably camouflage, question mark. There are some very smooth beetles out there, so my guess is that's either scatter light, particular way to blend in, or it's scarring / new growth like Mini Blaze suggested. Okay, well, cool. Yeah, like how these are kind of bumpy almost, but like I know like what is it, like scarab beetles? Is that a specific type of beetle, like a subclass, or is that like the green, you know, like beautiful iridescent looking beetles? But I feel like scarab is also just a like broad category. I feel like I should know that. But either way, very cool. Thank you. Sater says, the Geiger crab is working for you. Keep cooking. Thank you. Aloha says, Mia, can you hide everything and just quickly leave the textured pieces and skull? Yeah, sure, why not? Let's see if I can conveniently grab all these things because I have a bajillion subtools. All right, to do this quickly, I'm just going to take everything that you want still visible, throw it on the top, and then I can go underneath it right here. And now just click hide. Oh, no. Not quite. Almost. There we go. Should be from here down. Okay, I kind of like the hands also floating there, but they're not invited. Is this what you wanted to see? Just up close. It is looking really cool. Yeah, it's pretty metal. Mr. Banana Sham says, I love it. Good, I'm glad, because at the end of the day, it's your opinion that really matters here. Like, I want to like get better as an artist and whatnot, obviously. But it's also very important that those that support my art on Patreon also enjoy what they're getting. So, good. That makes me very happy. Can I get a better render on here? Some preview ambient occlusion, please. Ah, that's kind of cool. Sick. Aloha says, look how awesome this is going to look when it's done. Those forms are forming hard, aren't they? Mm. Did I get an underlit? How fun is that? Well, we're kind of messing around here. You can see why I don't sculpt with lighting like this the whole time, because that would drive me crazy. But just for a fun little preview, it is fun to look at. It's actually made it really intense. Very good. All right, back to normal time of day. so Mia can see. Let's get a nice highlight also up to the side. There you go. All right. And we continue. I really think though that with this texture, like this is looking good, but hear me out. There's a little bit of mumbling and unsureness going on. Like if I just grab some of the flow here with my sander brush and lazy map radius enabled and really just pull up a couple of these. So I'm gonna have to figure out like what the main flow is here. And that's gonna reduce any of that mumbling effect. Mumbling is what I say when I'm designing something, and it's like when you mumble and you talk. And you're like, and you know, it's like, what? It's the same thing with forms. Like you should be able to look at it and be like, ah, clarity. So look at the difference between like here versus here. That's kind of what I'm talking about. You're like, oh, it just looks more contrasty. Sure. Speaking of, can I just click contrast? Okay, we don't want to get too ridiculous, but I also do like a little bit of contrast. All right, let's keep going. Sater says, everyone loved the owl folk warlock, and it was great, but this is speaking my language. Honestly, same. This is like scratching something in my like artistic soul that I feel like I'm scratching against something that I've always wanted to be able to do, and it's happening. It's kind of exhausting, but it is happening. Jessie says, gotta bounce. Have a good Friday, everyone. You too, and a fantastic weekend. Matt says, this makes me think of the transitional phase of Zephon from Soul Reaver as he evolved from humanoid vampire into the big gross bug thing he became. I have not seen that, but the vibes are vibing for sure. Bunny says, oh boy, Scarabs, you've triggered my trap card. My favorite group of beetles. Love the Yu-Gi-Oh reference too. Reaper says, uh-oh, lore incoming. Love it. I love it. All right, back to this interior serratus nonsense, which is going to be delicious when I figure out how to do it. I can barely sculpt it on a human, so making it on a bug man is going to be a nice little challenge. This model might be a slower than usual turnaround on my priority tickets, but it's going to be so worth it. And if I need a little break, we'll just jump to your other request. All right, let's flip it on this side. Smooth that in. Okay, so this is going to essentially mimic the outside of the ribcage. We're going to Dynamesh regularly, use standard brush, because standard is the answer. And there's going to be little divots right here. So let's just kind of, we'll create 3 as like little placeholders. And again, this is all just using the standard brush. And we'll build up a volume here. It's a little more clear, kind of like a butterfly. And they're not curving, but they would. So let's go ahead and curve these up. And now this is where the cool thing is supposedly going to happen. I really am not sure, but I think it's going to happen. And this is where, like, again, this serratus interior or interior serratus muscles, they're not ribs, but they sit kind of like in between them. So we're going to use our standard brush and kind of interlock them here. I have them a lot more spread out than what they would actually be. They'd be more tucked up like this. But since I'm trying to get comfortable with these forms and figure them out, I'm going to cut myself some slack and make it nice and simple for me to interlock them. And then I'm thinking, perhaps, I can grab both of these, merge them down into one subtool, but different polygroups, please. I love when I put auto groups and it makes everything the same color. These are separate. Auto group again, but helpful. Why are you being like this? ZBrush? Fine. I'm going to manually recolor you because you're being ridiculous. Or did I Dynamesh and not realize it? No, I didn't. They're separate meshes here. When you hold down Command and Shift and click, it will select a polygroup, but when it's low poly, sometimes it has a hard time doing that. And in this case, it's just acting like it's never done that before in its life, which is kind of funny and annoying at the same time. Oh boy, we have our lore. I love it. Oh, thank you. Aloha says, us giving Mia her tertiary forms level up medal when she's doing weird bug stuff. And that is me. I'm like, am I doing it? All right. And then Bunny has some fantastic lore here about scarab beetles. And it is a family. Okay, that's what I thought. And it is large, containing about 35,000 species. Okay. And again, they've been used in jewelry. Isn't there a temple where it's like the entire ceiling or something? Yeah. Like this is like normal shell as opposed to like, I mean, the shape of them is beautiful. Very cool. Arguably, insect collecting and beetle fighting were the primary inspirations for Satoshi Tajiri to come up with the concepts for Pokemon. I did not know that. Freaking cool. Sater says, Mia, follow muscle anatomy, but instead of smoothing because skin, turn the muscles into plates. Just a thought. I agree. Hey, Foxy's here. Hi, I'm going to barbecue tonight, but I have 10 minutes and thought I'd drop in to say hello. Hello, happy to have you here. Yeah, I think a lot of people are gearing up for a huge weekend because this is Memorial Day weekend, not last weekend, which I completely forgot what day it was. We're working on Scary Geiger Bugman. It's coming out. Quite nice. If I can figure out how to separate these shapes, I'm baffled that they will not. Because I can use my move topological brush and click and drag, and that's working. But when I hold Command Shift click, it's like, nope, I've never done that before. Yes, you have. Oh, ZBrush. Whatever. I wanted them to be combined anyway. Let's scoot these on up like this. And I can pull this down to make another cool shape. There we go. Nifty. All right, moving right along. We're now going to start sculpting that bug 8-pack essentially. And all of this is just done using the exact same brush. I missed the muscle. Let's try again. And because of the plates idea, I'm using my move brush now, building up a bit of an edge here and kind of scooting this all together. There we go. That was fast and cool. I'm not sure what to do with his weird like little bug crotch. We'll figure it out. Hey, Steamworks is here. Hello, welcome back. Hell Week is over. Oh, I'm so glad. And you're so glad to be chilling finally. What is up? We're having a good time. I had a brain crisis while I was working on this earlier, but I really kind of pushed through it and it's paying off. Foxy says, Sater, I'm just catching up with friends. No idea what Memorial Day is. Oh, it's an American thing. Yeah. It's for veterans and stuff, and specifically those that have passed on. So, hence memorial. Assuming it's one of those fake American celebrations like Independence Day or Thanksgiving. Yeah. Although it says, fun tip, Mia, if you use the setup, make the brush size medium-ish, hold Alt and drag, you get a fun Geiger-like texture. Do I have that brush alpha? I should. That reminds me of my reverse. Yeah, here it is. Using clay buildup. I'm going to put it here. So where's clay buildup? I actually don't use clay buildup a lot. I use clay tubes, but they're pretty much the same thing, but different. All right, clay buildup. There it is. Boop. Where do? And then drag rectangle. Or no, freehand. Surprised by that. That is Geiger-esque. Let's divide again. All right, so to make this even stronger, because it's going to kind of muddle itself together, we can separate this out just a touch. So see how that's layering up really tightly, which is very cool in Geiger-esque, but let's give it a little more control. Let's come down to stroke. We can turn on lazy mouse. There we go. It's going to help a little bit. And now we can increase the step. That way we have a little bit more control before it gets a little too noisy. I think I'd probably use this to detail like tubes essentially. So probably I would use this instead with the standard brush. Here and here. More volume. Lazy radius, stroke. Increase the step. Nope, now it looks like rocks. Decrease. There we go. I'd probably use it like this. And do like those tubes that you'll see. A lot of Geiger stuff. Kind of like that. Yeah. Something of really high density. I might use this when I'm working on the tubes. Very cool. I always like seeing new textures and stuff that you guys have found too. Thank you. A cod piece? Yeah, to protect your little swimmers. I probably will. Steamwork says, I think my brain's ready to go into meltdown reset mode. I'm ready for it though. As long as you're ready for it. Very good. Ooh, that's cool. Even low poly. Ew. Alright. Moving on. Yeah, so in this one, that's kind of more my approach with it here. It's kind of just smooth. Since we're talking about bug codpiece. COD. But for now, I don't want to forget about these cool little shell deltoid thing. I would like to create a top and a bottom piece for this too, and probably like interlocking plates if I can figure that out. Let me duplicate this once. And I can kind of push some forms around. I have an idea. Easiest way to do this is to create two different colors so I can actually see what the heck's going on. And then back with our standard brush. Oh yeah, it's always standard brush. Snap. Reaper says, I find medieval cod pieces to be very hilarious. Same. A chitin cod piece that opens up like a beetle elytra. Oh my god. No. We're not doing that. Yeah, Mr. Banana Sham's like, I mean, I don't hate it not having a crotch though either. Same. I think it's fine. Funny says, another one of my favorite Geiger pieces is Homage a Böcklin, inspired by Arnold Böcklin's Isle of the Dead. Many versions were produced, and this one is from 1886. Oh, cool. I like the textures here at the bottom especially. And kind of like some of that like pipe work. Very cool. Alright, I can do like interlocking plates, kind of like the same way that I was figuring out how to do these. See, it all comes back. If you take the time to figure out how to do one texture, you will be rewarded. There we go. So much of it is just having to know what you're even trying to do, which honestly is really harder than you think. This is kind of looking like those wall mushrooms right now too, which I don't hate. Yeah, I like that little leg shape. I don't quite have that. I just gave him big thighs. But it would be more indented like that. Yeah. Still high. Kind of reminds me of the pelvis. Man, the answer is just the standard brush. I just can't get over this. I like that we're back to just everything is super low poly, and also a low happy accident. Since I was trying that texture that you kind of suggested that I try, I reduced the step on my lazy brush, and so now I'm getting kind of this like rippling effect, which is kind of adding as like a little bit of tertiary texture right from the get-go, which is nice. Can make this its own piece, because it's also a little too high res compared to everything else I have going on here. There we go. This is coming together kind of rapidly, isn't it? Oh no, Mr. Banana Sham says, who doesn't like some baked goods at Aloha? Aloha is causing... Aloha. You're 3 steps away from... No, no. Oh my god. Also, bye Foxy, thanks for tuning in. Sater says, I feel like he's starting to look a little top heavy. Community thoughts. I agree. I want his legs to look really long and strong, you know? So let me just give him a little bit more room, and then I can kind of broaden those out. I'm also thinking about giving him like a double kneecap almost. I don't know. And now that I have a little bit more room here, I can kind of taper a bit. Sater says, I mean, amazeballs, but top heavy. And then Banana Sham says, he flies, so not a big deal. Oh, I meant to ask you about that. We did put these wings back here as like a cape, but I know you didn't mention that in your concept. So if you like him, great, we like him. But if not, totally fine. Yeah, widen the feet or hips. How about both? A little wider here, kind of, we need to develop the feet a bit more anyhow. But that'll happen later. I don't want to do feet. I will do feet, but I don't want to do it right now. All right, I want to make this a bit stronger here and then widen this as well. Without ruining that flow, which is like that pinched, like Bunny did that initial sketch and it's just living in my head and it's been very helpful, where it's like that taper in the center and it flares out on both sides. Aloha says, this might be my new favorite model after Pookie Bear, a real level up, methinks. I think so. Low key, I am looking at this and I'm like, who made this? And then Mr. Banana Jam says, I defer to the experts here. I'm agreeable. You are. I love that. It's nice to have someone that's not picky. And to be clear, most of my patrons are super chill, just like that too, but I still appreciate it immensely. Makes me feel even better that it looks like your model is going to be a bit of a level up for me. So you're in for a treat, as well are the rest of us. It also helps that your description of your character, though very detailed, actually leaves a lot of creative liberty for me, which allows for this kind of growth to happen. Yeah. Mr. Banana Jam says, I didn't plan wings, but I did plan flight. Design-wise, I don't hate it. Same, especially because it kind of gives this royalty cape look, of which he is, you know. Maybe not say royalty, but he's the head of this entire swarm, so yes. I feel like they'd be friends. Maybe for happy hour we can see him next to Pookie Bear. Maybe. We're working our way through here quite nicely. Oh, check this out. That's cool. I like all the different like layering plates here. This is a bit more leaf-like. This would have been easier for me. I would have been able to do that. But I like that I was forced to do this. Is that Strange Magic, the weird George Lucas film? Not quite the same in terms of being insectoid, but how the belly and such has overlapping segments and protects, yet still allows flexibility. And that it is. All right, guys, I would like some insight on texturing these tentacles, because I want them to look more chitin. More, I feel like that word is not right. Anyway, I want them to look more structured than just literal tubes. And I think the answer for that is like, you know, those little like barbs that insects have on the ends of their feet, something like that. Yeah, an emperor of sorts, a dark demigod. Beautiful. Yeah, and definitely caution regarding thickening him, because he might just look more like angry bone than insect. Which is fine, because his head is a skull. Let's narrow this down just a touch. I feel like I just want something happening on his feet to widen the design down here. But it's not a bad idea to have like a really strong triangle shape happening too. I personally vote for this bumpy texture. Oh yeah, like the interlocking segments. Yes. What is an easy way to do that? That won't take all day. How about some chaotic masking? Mask, hide, mask, hide. I'm hoping this will work. If not, oh well, at least I tried. I don't mind doing stuff slowly and manually, but at some point it's like, time is money, honey, and I would like to find a faster way to do things. All right, let's try this out. So if I did this in a way that I think makes sense, I should be able to just like inflate, hide, inflate, hide. Just because I want to like just concept this texture. That kind of worked. Yeah. Unfortunately, it got it a little too thick, I think. But I can fix that by using the pinch brush, because I still need these segments in the inside to thin out. Are you just going to make me do it manually? I'm talking to me. You guys aren't making me do anything. I am getting more comfortable with this though, and these different forms, which is nice. Either way, this is looking really cool. Oh, fungal growth. That could be cool. Funny says, all right, I'm sign up for now. If you need more bug facts, just at me in Discord. I love it. Tentacles are going to be difficult. They're soft, prehensile appendages. That's true, but I feel like this works quite well still. Sater says, still think he needs some length on him. Perhaps. Matt says, Mia, not sure how complicated it would be. We could always give him digitigrade legs. I did that originally. Same brain. I did that initially. I gave digitigrade legs, and he ended up looking a little too monster, because it's supposed to be a bug humanoid, but then it was just looking like a creature monster, so I straightened out his legs again. But yes, I like that you thought that too. If you go back to our stream yesterday and go all the way like to when we first started this character, it's actually one of the first things I did, and I was like, nah. Mini legs. These are just nice references though. I do just like those. And I might end up using him if we give him like sub arms. I thought about the idea of giving him 4 arms. So the thoughts are still rolling around. So yeah, we started the stream here, minus the hands. We did that on the warm-up. And now we are here. Things are happening. I'm learning. I'm getting better. And I don't feel pressure to get better with every single model, just to be clear. I know I can just get stuff done, but what is the point if you're not striving for greatness? Obviously, don't strive so hard that you hate what you're doing. Just a little bit of improvement at a time. I think sometimes the mentality of improving, especially creatively, is coming from being dissatisfied with your current work. I think that's kind of a dangerous mentality to get into. I want to be clear that it's more so of like, I like what I'm doing and I just want there to be even more to like. Does that make sense? It's not because I look at old models and I think, oh, this sucks. That is not going to work for you in the long run. I know this probably isn't news to you guys, but you have to be nice to yourself. And then Bunny says, but how could I forget Circuit, an insectoid erase from Pathfinder? Oh, how could you forget? This is so spot on. Ooh, I do like that for a foot idea. I like this too because it has that weird like little dew claw thing I was talking about. Aloha says, I think he looks awesome. I do too, same. John also says same. I mean, Mr. Banana Jam. You know, most people like I shorten their name, but if it's ridiculous, I like saying the whole thing. And yours is ridiculous and therefore fun. Let's brighten this scene up. We got a bit dark, didn't we? Glow. Very good. Oh, heck, he's so cool. All right, excellent, excellent. I want to see if I can get a radial. It always like destroys my ambient occlusion, but that's okay. I want something fun here. Cool. How much of this can I make fill the screen? Because I want to do is like this. This fills the screen the most, but nobody can see that. It's pretty neat though. Adding a little bit more poly paint here just so these kind of stand out a touch more. Same with the ends especially. Kind of looks like bone on the edges, which I like. Curse on my models being so tall. I just make a lot of tall boys. Okay. Let's bump up that ambient occlusion. Same with the shadows. That looks good. I think we're going to call this one good for today. And then move on to something else. Organic Doc Ock pack. Yeah. These feet need love. But not today. Not today, they don't. I do like that the back looks so much like a living creature as well. People, there it is. Zoom. I'm still finding a splash page I'm gonna like the most. This is just for me. We're at the end of Tavern Keeper's craft. I'm cutting it a tiny bit short. Just getting like a spread that I really like. I think a simple front back for this one. We have the funniest, tiniest little bug butt. I will figure out what I want to do with that. But for now, we're just gonna... Nope. I want those to overlap just a touch more. Very cool. A lot of progress made here. Mr. Banana Jam said, so much progress. I now stand your artwork. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Taylor says, remember to lean into triangular shape language. You want him to look like a villain. Absolutely. I think that's why I like how much his shoulders are broadening. But you're right. I can find other places to kind of like nestle that in, especially his abdominal. I can actually slightly taper them upwards. I like it. Hey, Mal's here. Hello. A bit late today, but I made it eventually. You sure did. It was a neat one. We're just finishing up for right now. All right, let's go ahead and mark our progress. Excellent. Aloha says, I look at those forms and recoil a bit because it looks so much like an insect, which I hate. Very good. Thank you. Great job. All right. This will be first art of the day. Boop. Amazing. And it is time to save. Bug hybrid humanoid. We'll give him a much cooler name later, but that is for now. All right. And then I wanted to kind of rewind so we can kind of see the progress on this. This is why I cut Tavern Keeper's Craft short a touch, because we went through a lot of stages with this character and I kind of want to review. This was very early on. This is where we started. He was just a little flower child. If you guys haven't looked up in a bit, now is a good time to do so. Kind of just reviewing some stages here. I'm actually going to screenshot this and put it in the chat. Very, very early on. It's just like a baby version. He went through a really awkward teenager phase. And then another really good kind of like midpoint to touch in on would probably be here, which just looks like something out of Stranger Things. And right here, I'm like, okay, he's gonna look cool. I think it was about here I started swearing on stream yesterday because I knew how much work this was going to be, and I could tell that I wasn't quite at that level artistically, but I knew I could get there. And so there was a lot of growing pains that happened, but we pushed through and it was worth it. And then somehow we came all the way to this point. Yeah. Very happy. All right. I'm going to take a quick break here, probably make a smoothie. And then when we come back, I'll go straight to happy hour. During happy hour, I'm going to review all my students' work. It looks like all of you guys have DM'd me already, or at least a lot of you really active ones. If anyone is lurking and hanging out and you haven't sent me an update for me to review on stream, now is the time to do so. Alrighty. I will see you guys in about 15 minutes or so. I'll be back before 2 p.m. Back before... So the start of the next hour, wherever you're at. Alrighty. This has been a blast. Thank you guys so much for being here. See you in a bit. All right, we are back, and it is time for happy hour. I'm going to review your guys' work, taking any questions about art, goodness, all that kind of stuff, and I'm going to roll straight into the weekend because I'm feeling weekend. All right, let's get to it. First up is Empress. They had to head out earlier today, but we'll still check out their stuff. All right, they said, so I played with the alphas, and it's rather addicting. I don't think I'll be here for happy hour to do reviews, and they're not. The original alpha is a comb, and the alt's inverted. Perfect, perfect. I'd love to know more of when alphas are used. I know for game assets, if I remember correctly, it changes silhouette model / alphas. If not, you might be good with texturing instead. This is true. So I'll kind of respond here. Yes. For game assets, a lot of heavy lifting is done with textures. So poly paint, essentially, they're just painted on. That being said, for sculpting, alphas are great. That also being said, you can generate texture maps from poly painted alphas. That makes sense. You can kind of use them in conjunction. And yes, I did save our lovely bug here. All right. Model was subdivided thrice. Sounds very good. Okay, let's get them our next assignment here. You've been doing a lot of really good practice here, so I think I'm gonna give you 2 different tools back to back. The next thing I'll do is I'll give you the resources for masking. All right. Next assignment. Boop. Next up is paint. Paint is working on their goblin. Amazing. Still working on it, doing stuff from scratch. We'll see an update soon. Aloha will be happy with this. Oh my gosh. Amazing progress so far. Keep cooking. At this stage, I could always start reviewing the head, mention like, it could be a little lower poly, blah, 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 blah. In this case, I really want you to get comfortable with creating characters and just keep working, keep cooking. You're already iterating on this, and this project here is supposed to be very on the smaller side for Plan Create Simple. So I especially don't want to bog you down with a bunch of feedback when you're actively working. You'll learn more from just doing it over and over again from scratch as opposed to reworking the face to death. You already have some great fundamentals here. And I like how you simplified the ear specifically with the spiral. Quite nice. Next up is Max. There we go. Potion using tutorial. I got stuck almost immediately without it, but had the right ideas on how to do it. Just not quite the flow and order I need to do things. Found the tip on polygrouping really helpful. I feel like I understand polypaint a bit better now. I probably won't be on stream, but was wondering if I get 2 assignments since last weekend. Absolutely. Happy to hear it. Exactly what this assignment is supposed to do for you. Yeah, this is exactly what the assignment is for, where you try your best to see how far you can get without it, and then when you get stuck, you watch the video. And yeah, we'll give them 2 assignments here. We'll do another create, or another follow, and here we go. That's gonna be how to sculpt a beard. And then as far as the next project for them, I don't know if I have a second one lined up conveniently here. We'll probably do another create, fun and simple. 2 different bits of progress, 1 following, 1 original. Yes, this is a repeat for good quick practice. We want to keep you creating. Oh, there's paint already. I just joined the stream. Anything or tips? Perfect. Since you're here, I'm happy to talk a little bit more about this. Pretty much what I said was you're going to learn more from just creating more projects from scratch anyhow. For the head, I would recommend making the eyebrows a separate piece, subtool in the future. This is quite cute. And then same with the eyes. To prevent them from getting a little too... it's very hard to sculpt eyes because there's so much going on. And one of the big things you can do to help yourself out is using separate subtools for the eyelids. I can show you really quick here how I did that on my Cherry Blossom Dragon. All you need to create eyelids, so yeah, see, very fancy, very nice, whatever. Let's look at the actual eyeball here and zoom in. So right now you just have the sphere. So see how different, or how, one second, hiding these. This is what you have right now. See? And it adds so much by sculpting on those eyelids. And the way that I created that was simply taking a sphere and masking it in half, and then going to split masked points. So go right here, come down to split at the bottom here, and you can split mask points, and then create close holes, all that kind of goodness. Then you'll have a top and a lower. That's my biggest tip for you on this, but keep working, looking great. All right, Mini Mimics is here. My internet's messing up, so here's some crude pictures from my phone. Totally works. I typically pose first, then build detail because I'm terrible at rigging. Interesting. Okay, I wouldn't even say you need a rig. Let me go ahead and give them a stamp. All right. What is our timestamp right now? It's at the 2-hour, 45-minute mark. Oops, not at. Perfect. All right. Hello, Mini Mimics. All right. So you mentioned you typically pose first, then build up detail because I'm terrible at rigging. I would really encourage you, yeah, I love your working symmetrically. Do that first until you have a very, very strong understanding of anatomy. Otherwise, you're going to kind of like bake in different mistakes as you go. You do not have to rig to pose your characters. You can actually use Transpose Master instead, which is pretty much just masking. And I can tell you all about how to get used to that. But for now, for this project here, I see you're using this reference, which is great. Because you're using digitigrade legs, it's going to look pretty odd. I would actually recommend just not going digitigrade legs in this specific instance, because you're going to have a very difficult problem to solve otherwise. I think you're doing a pretty good job here as is, and you're pretty much just treating them like normal straight legs. So I would just, since you're leaning into that anyway, I would just continue to push that. This is tricky. This is really good practice though. You found a fantastic reference, and keep at it. Next is adding some more weight to the arms. And then this is pretty straight up and down. Getting more of a C curve through this will really get some interesting motion. But great work. Keep on cooking. Yeah, I like it. Paint says, oh, you meant eyelids. Yeah, the eyes are separate, eyebrows are not. Yeah, separate eyebrows and separate eyelids. Both. Next up is Grimnir. Grimnir says, hi there, sorry for going dark for a bit. Yeah, life gets busy. Had a busy couple of weeks. I made it through this assignment finally. Sounds great. Life gets busy. No worries. All right, let's grab a new assignment for Grimnir. This was their add and move subtools and then create bad, I believe, which is quite adorable. Just kind kind of looking for different projects here for them because they're a bit more advanced. I ran them through my fundamentals anyway, just because they picked up a lot of new like cool tips and tricks as they went through it. But as you can tell, they're capable of sculpting stuff like this. They have fundamentals down. So right now I'm kind of seeing if there's any tips they might have missed. Did I get them through alphas yet? No. Let's brush up on alphas. See if you can glean any new tips and tricks. Bam. All right, great. I think that makes us all caught up with my students. Perfect. If you guys have any questions, now's a great time to ask or send me, of course, some work to review. Yeah, just keep on cooking. You guys are all doing great. All right, that brings us just a little bit into happy hour, but we're almost at the 3-hour mark of the stream. I mentioned I'm pretty much gonna close this up. Nice and simple. Love this GIF from Bunny. And it's pretty much weekend time now. We'll kind of close out just with this cherry blossom dragon I'm working on. Really, really happy with this piece already. It is a doozy. There's a lot to balance here, but I'm pretty happy with it. Hey, Jared. If you were just tuning in, we were just ending. I'm so sorry. I don't even have anything special planned for this weekend. I'm just super excited for weekend. So weekend break and then back Monday. You got it. Another Monday through Friday about noon Eastern time. Jared, no, I did it again. You are good at doing that. My goodness. In your defense, we usually stream for a lot longer. Today is only 3 hours. So be it. But since you are here, we might as well show you what we worked on today. Let me just make this nice and big. Make my face small. So this is that flower guy we started on yesterday. He's not actually a flower guy. He's like a swarm leader monster. Really cool. Anyway, we developed this character all the way into this, which I am really happy with. Oh, look, it's me. But twice. I'll go ahead and open that ZPR. It was a lot of experimenting with textures and just trying to figure out how to get that just right, because it's not something that I have a lot of practice in, which is all the more reason to take my time. But yeah, we mostly spent the time here and figuring out how to build up this, and it was very worth it. But yeah, turned out pretty sweet. I agree. It's got, long way to go, but doesn't it always? I am so excited for weekend. Okay. Swarm Keeper Ranger. I like it. Swarm Keeper Overlord. Alright, that closes out into the weekend. I hope you guys have a fantastic, really restful weekend. Special huge shout out to Aloha for all these graphics and goodness. And then of course to really all my mods, Satyr and Reaper. You guys are fantastic and really keep everything running smoothly. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate the heck out of y'all. All right. You guys take care, and I will see you Monday, noon Eastern time. Bye.